Hey gang, what's up? Welcome back here to another edition of the Fishing Teacher, and thanks for taking a little time out of your day to check the video out. Much appreciated. Today we're going to be talking about night fishing. I'm going to give you guys some good night fishing tips because summer months, June, July, and August are three of the best months to catch fish at night. And fishing is just better at night. It's like when that water temperature gets hot, fishing gets tough during the daytime a lot of times. And fishing at night is a great way to be more comfortable and catch a lot more fish. So we're going to get into that. Real quick, guys, before we get started, just want to give you the reminder, if you're struggling to catch fish on the lake that you fish a lot, please check out our Fish the Moment lake map breakdowns that I make. This is a great resource to help you out if you're having a hard time finding fish on the lake. It's a really good resource to give you some good spots and give you some tips and advice on how to fish each spot. We have waypoints that you can download directly into your fish finder. And if the lake you fish is not on our website, you can book a virtual online lesson with me, and we can go over any lake you want to for some tips on that. So I'll put the lake map breakdown link in the description of this video. Much appreciated. Okay guys, night fishing. Night fishing is really how I started out fishing some of the bigger lakes. I joined a bass club back in Joplin, Missouri back in the late 70s when I was in high school. And this club had a bunch of old dudes in it. Old at the time for me, I was a teenager, but they were probably anywhere between their 40s to the early 70s. And these dudes didn't like to fish during the day. They did not want to fish in hot weather. So we always had our club tournaments at night, or a lot of them. So I got a lot of good, tips and advice on how to catch them at night. So first of all, guys, it's my theory that most fish feed at night. I don't think that fish feed during the daytime near as much as they do at night. I think that probably 80% of the feeding takes place during the night, and therefore that's why it's a better time to fish. And there's a lot of different reasons for that. First of all, at nighttime, the fish go shallower. It's like a lot of those fish that are living out deeper in the summertime during the daytime, once night comes on, once it gets dark, they move to the bank and they get shallow, and they're looking for crawdads, frogs, or whatever shallow prey that they can get. So the fish are more catchable. They're in that zone where they're more catchable. And on top of that, since you have no light penetration, it's dark out, they make mistakes. They simply cannot see as good. They have to rely more on their sense of smell and vibration and water displacement. So they just make a lot more mistakes. So from that standpoint, it's just easier to catch fish at night. So a couple different tips that I want to give you guys for fishing at night. Let's talk specifically just on lakes. If you're fishing ponds, you can cover the whole pond. I used to walk pond banks at night with a spinnerbait and catch a ton of fish. But for the most part, if you're fishing lakes, you sort of have to narrow in a little bit more on specific areas. To me, some of the best places to fish at night are in and around any type of point. Main lake points, secondary points are real good. These are places that are like highways for the bass to move from deep water to shallow water. So fishing around shallow on the point ends and sides is a good way to catch them. I really like to fish either very steep points or very flat points. So I like a bluffy type point or like a flat gravel point. It seems like those are the two best. Catch a lot of fish doing that. Next place is real good at night is around boat docks, especially if the docks have lights on them. The lights will attract insects. The insects attract perch, and obviously the perch will attract the bass, and it's a little bit easier to see. So boat docks that have some type of lights on them is a really good thing. And the last type of place I like to fish is any type of an entrance into a cove. So say, for example, if you start out fishing a point, try to work about a quarter of the way into those coves off of the point, because a lot of times those fish will filter down that bank, maybe not all the way to the back of the cove, but for the first 1/3 part of it is another good place to fish. So talk about lures a little bit. A lot of different lures really work good at night. My favorite is a spinnerbait, a black spinnerbait, 1/2 ounce size with usually like a number 5 single gold blade on it. I probably caught more fish at night on that combination than anything. It's a really good way to catch them. It's a good bait to locate fish on too. So if I am catching some fish on a spinnerbait, I'll go back through the same area with a Texas rig worm or a jig, something like a 9 or 10 inch worm, dark colored jig. Fishing on the same type of areas is really good. And also what has been working a lot for, I still have a lot of buddies that fish at night, and one of the things that they've caught a lot of fish on the last few years, because I really haven't done much night fishing in the last few years, is they tell me they catch a lot of fish on a chatterbait and a deep dive and crankbait at night. So they'll get out off some of those points, throw that big deep dive and crankbait up on the bank and work it down into 8 and 10 foot of water and catch them, and just fish the chatterbait up on the bank like they do, you know, spinnerbait or something. But anyway, guys, it's a great way to catch them, especially if you don't like fishing during the heat of the day. You can pretty much, I'm going to guess, let's say, for example, if you're fishing your favorite lake during the daytime and you fish all day long and catch 10 fish, if you go out at night on the same lake, unless the lake is muddy, you're probably going to catch 3 to 4 times as much. You'll probably catch 30 bass if you're catching 10 during the daytime. And obviously, the lakes that have a little bit cleaner water are better. It doesn't have to be really clear, but I like a lake to have at least 3 foot of clarity before it's really good at night. So anyway, guys, hope it helps out, and we'll talk later.